still support us after all these years, even though it's a weekend edition and the amount hasn't gone down. Some have actually increased it. And if you're giving $1 a month, that some of you, if you could consider maybe giving $2 and up your giving, you can cancel your subscription and then just put in a different denominator. But you can choose on how much you want to give to the broadcast. But some of you are able to do it and some of you can't. And I know some of you have not been able to even do the $1 a month, which you're just that short on cash. And I'm praying that things turn around for some of you that were able to support the broadcast at one time. Maybe you gave more, and maybe you can consider giving in the future. But I would really appreciate anything that you can do to help this broadcast because, you know, it's a rarity, and I get this so often from letters from people that tell me, Keith, there's just very few shows like you on the air, and you make the difference. Your voice, your demeanor, your personality, your spirit, all of those things. And like I've tried to tell everybody, it's the human touch. It's somebody that cares. It's not just all about them. There's other people in this country. I don't just put on a show to put on a show for myself. I put the show on for you and to help things along, have some dialogue and discussion around your water cooler because people are talking about it. And you are so busy with your life, living it. Many of you are at the twilight of your life. You've lived a long life. Your kids have grown up, and you got a smile on your face, happy. Pretty much how things turned out. Your kids, you know, got a roof over their heads, and they're doing all right. And you didn't do too bad for yourself. And you're the ones we do the show for. We appreciate you so much, and your encouragement after I took over the show for Chuck when he had health issues. So many people tell me, still today, 3 years later after taking the bride, it's what, about 3.5 years now, right? Can you get Chuck back on the air? You know, if you're a diehard Chuck Harder fan, it's going to be tough to make that transition because you can't replace him. And then let me just make this clear as possible because there's folks that ask me still, how's Chuck? Chuck's bedridden. Means he can't even get into a wheelchair. I don't think he's been in a wheelchair for years. He's bedridden in Gainesville at a nursing home. And has great nurses taking care of him. He can't get up. And his mind is not as quick as it used to be. His strength is not where it used to be. He's had heart attacks and strokes, several of them. And he's just not doing well health-wise, a lot slower. So he's not the same Chuck. And think about you. 30 years ago, how were you? 15 years ago. It may have been a different you. People change, and he's just gotten older, and his health, unfortunately, has deteriorated rapidly through the years. But he is still alive and still listens to the broadcast as much as he can, but he's just not as engaged with what's going on. He tries to appreciate it, but he's just slowed down, folks. That's the bottom line. We miss him, and thank God that there is some groups that do some archives of his broadcast that you can look around, some radio networks to do the best of Chuck Harder. You can do a marathon. And you know what we might do is actually link with that radio network that actually has a program schedule that I can put on our website. And I will do that. So if you would like to listen to some of the old shows because it's kind of fun and you want to do that and you're a diehard fan, I'd be more than happy to publish that. So you can find that and then listen to the old programs. I love listening to the old programs because a lot of them, they don't get old. A lot of the stuff is very timely because he was wickedly way ahead of the curve when it came to most things. All right, let's get back into the conversation, what we were talking about before the break, and that was James Comey's book coming out this Tuesday, Higher Loyalty, Truth, Lies, and Leadership. And it's going to be released this Tuesday. ABC and George Stephanopoulos, they're going to be doing a thing, check local listings for that. But the Republican National Committee this past yesterday, stepped up its assault on former FBI Director Comey, his upcoming book, in a tweet containing a mock cover that attacks his ego. Here is the committee's post, which also features a mock review section on the back cover, headlined, Widespread Accord from James Comey's Ego. First look at Comey's new book. Pre-order More inside. There's a link. Comey's book, A Higher Loyalty. It's got this funny name. As if all the things that he did were from his higher power. God himself mandated the direction that he was going to go to forgive Crooked Hillary for all her atrocities, and then the infamous tarmac meeting, and then, of course, wiping of the servers and all the bad behavior and questionable things that she did when she was Secretary of State. We want to talk about all-time failures of Secretary of State. I mean, she just deliberately went out of her way, seemingly in many places, and with his own testimony, which is so perplexing. And when this book comes out, showing that really they did have enough to say that she wronged dude, that she was egregious in handling of classified materials, and yet she skated, did not even make an example out of her. And when you do that, what happens? It allows an open door for other people to do the same thing again. That's why we have laws in the books, and if you don't enforce them, people will not take them seriously. Ask any sheriff in this country, ask any officer. If you don't enforce it, then what good is it? And you're supposed to be held to a, what did he say here? Higher loyalty? That's the name of the book? Truth, Lies, and Leadership? As she should have this beautiful pardon because she's Hillary Rotten Clinton. I'm sorry, my damn friends. I have no respect for a lady. It even weirds me out to call her a lady, but she is a lady. Just a very strange lady who has done a lot of bad things to this country and has got people killed, judgment lapses. We want to talk about brain farts. Here's a woman who really didn't remember much of what she did. Resurrection. I can't rightly resurrect. That's what I'm talking about. She, any questions, anything that was given to her about any of these particular things. And then the lame-o answer about the scrubbing of the servers was, did you wipe down the servers? She goes, did I dust it with furniture polish? You mean like wipe them down like with a cloth? That it's that, those particulars. And for anybody that's wondering why in the hell she didn't get elected, it's because of her lies vehemently at the American people, as if the American people were so stupid to not be able to see it. They saw it. This woman was venomous. In her voice, she had this slimy hatred to her voice. And I was telling a Dem the other day that I do business with, and Susan Warren. She's another woman that just has this, I don't know, hateful rhetoric. It's not what she is saying. It's how she says it. Margaret Thatcher had to learn that when she went to coaching with a voice coach. It's something that I do for people all over the country. But she had to tame it down greatly so she didn't seem like she was screaming at people. But it's got the snarl. But I think it's an outward sign of what actually was in her heart to begin with. And it's just not good. So anyways, what literally trumped, and no pun intended here, but all the news of the day from yesterday has been replaced by this book, by what everybody is saying about this new upcoming book that's going to be released on Tuesday. And it was very difficult to find the news about Pompeo. Everything is, seriously, if you go on any of the news wires, everything's Pompeo. Not Pompeo. You'd think it would be, because it was kind of a big deal. That was yesterday's news. Former Republican House Speaker Newt Gingrich, I told you I was going to tell you what he had to say, but he slammed former FBI Director James Comey himself as a bitter, fired employee. I thought that summarized it pretty nice, who has a long record of complaining and aggrandizement after he compared President Donald Trump to a mob boss in an upcoming television interview. He colluded with Chuck Schumer's staff in 2007 to embarrass President George W. Bush when he was an appointee Gingrich, the former Georgia congressman, told Sandra Smith on Fox. Schumer is the longtime Democratic senator from New York. Gingrich was speaker from 95 to 90, was it 99? Yep. And he did so to make himself look good, Gingrich said. We have to put anything Comey says in a book and realize that this is a bitter guy who was fired publicly, who deeply resents Trump. You have to balance whatever he says against that. And there's a promo that's out for this interview. The release of the book Tuesday, officially at bookstores and online at Amazon. But there's a promo for 2020, and the George Stephanopoulos interview will be this Sunday. Yeah, I thought to myself, they're going to air it over the weekend. Of course, they're going to get maximum exposure on Sundays on 2020 for this big interview where people are going to be watching for this one. So Comey interviewed as a part of that promotion for his upcoming book, A Higher Loyalty, Truth, Lies, and Leadership. And this is going to be talking points all next week, all this weekend about the book. I mean, folks, we're getting down to hand size, okay? He mentions the hand size that they were smaller than his, okay? Here is, oh, my, James Comey, 6'8"? And he recognized that Donald Trump was shorter than he was. Dude, you're 6'8". Most people are shorter than you. But just, in his hair. He had to mention his hair, okay? It took so long for Donald Trump to do his hair. Who gives a crap if it takes an hour or 5 hours? If that's what President Trump needs to do to look good on television or to feel good about himself, who gives a darn? I personally do not care. Freakishly 6'8", cool, man. That's awesome, man. He was a lot shorter than I thought he was. Shoot, was Donald Trump 6'2", 6'3"? I mean, 6'8". How many people do you know that are 6'8"? Jesus. I mean, it's just so stupid. But the left eating this up, it's going to be talking points, and of course, just disparaging him, liking him. The worst thing that he said thus far is that he likened him as a mob boss because of the loyalty thing. Listen, you're serving at the pleasure of the president, no matter who it was, and maybe Barack Obama did not call it that, okay? It's just sometimes you have to say it to certain people because of the enormity of people that are in the swamp that are the cause for most of these problems and leakers. And James Comey was the biggest leaker of them all. That's why he got fired. That's why he got canned. He got busted. He got caught. He's like a canary. He's like a cat, the canary. It's just, this is revenge. And, you have to ask yourself a question. Why would he write the book? And I'll tell you, it's very easy. It's not a thing that you have to sit there and look at the ceiling fan for hours at a time to figure this out. This is about him. This is to get his boss back because he was canned. He doesn't run the FBI. He's back in the private sector. And he's a big temper tantrum right now and bashing the president. This doesn't help the country. Is this going to make you more of a patriot? Make you more desirable to a future administration to hire you? You know what I think it is? Let's see, maybe ABC can redo their set because George Stephanopoulos is looking a little old. I mean, he really is. Bill Clinton's looking a little old. So maybe they're going to have to redo the set because James Comey would bump his head on the lighting or the scaffolding or the set or whatever. They'd have to, the camera would bash him in the head at 6'8". They're going to have to modify everything, but maybe he's trying to be his replacement. I mean, they like him. Many Republicans were fooled, shame on them, thinking that this guy was some kind of Boy Scout. So this is going to be the big talking points next week. And this Sunday on 2020, what is James Comey going to say about Donald Trump? What are you going to say about it? You going to reveal all the secrets of the White House? He's unhinged, the stuff of the left. It's